Good afternoon, fellow movie buffs. Continuing a popular franchise often presents a significant challenge, as continuations frequently struggle to live up to their predecessors. Take Star Wars, for instance. While entries like Rogue One and The Mandalorian were well received, the Han Solo origin story and The Acolyte have met with more mixed, if not outright negative reactions. And some continuations, like Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, are best left unmentioned entirely. My focus today is on an intriguing attempt at a franchise continuation that leaves me with more mixed feelings. Escape from the Planet of the Apes, the third movie in the original series. I'd love for you to join the discussion, but please don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any of our upcoming content. At the end of Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Earth was destroyed. However, three intelligent apes, Dr. Zira, a chimpanzee psychologist, Cornelius, a chimpanzee archaeologist and Zira's husband, and Dr. Milo, a chimpanzee scientist, managed to escape the destruction. They had been working on repairing Taylor's spaceship from the first film. As Earth was consumed by the atomic explosion, their ship was caught in a time warp caused by the blast and sent back in time to the year 1973 on the planet Earth. Upon their spaceship's crash landing in the Pacific Ocean, the apes are rescued by the United States Navy and taken to a zoo infirmary. They are initially regarded as wild animals, but Dr. Zira, known for her lack of patience and her distaste for bananas, quickly reveals their intelligence and ability to communicate. Tragically, shortly after correctly summarizing their situation, Dr. Milo is tragically killed by a gorilla. The world is, understandably, stunned by the arrival of the talking intelligent apes from the future. They become instant celebrities, treated with a mix of fascination and fear. They are interviewed by the press, appear on television, and are housed in a luxurious hotel. They share their knowledge of the future where apes are dominant and humans are mute slaves, carefully admitting the detail that Earth is eventually destroyed. However, not everyone is welcoming. Dr. Otto Hasslein, the president's scientific advisor, becomes increasingly suspicious and hostile. He believes the apes pose a grave threat to humanity, fearing that they might be the ancestors of the apes who will eventually subjugate humans. He subjects Zira to a lie detector test, during which she reveals the future destruction of Earth. This further fuels Hasslein's paranoia. Hasslein convinces the President's National Security Council that the apes must be prevented from reproducing. Zira had already revealed she is pregnant. This would mean that her baby would be aborted. Despite the President's initial sympathy for the apes, he is swayed by Hasslein's arguments about the potential danger to the human race. Zira and Cornelius flee and are helped by a kind circus owner, Armando, who hides them and their newborn son. They attempt to escape to a desolate area, but they are tracked down by Hasslein's forces. In a tragic confrontation at a derelict ship, Zira and Cornelius are shot and killed. Before they die, Zira manages to put their infant son, Milo, named after their deceased friend, in the care of Armando. The film ends with the chilling revelation. Armando's circus, where the dead ape infant was supposed to be, reveals that the infant ape, who can now speak, is alive, hidden amongst other young chimpanzees. He has been named Caesar, setting the stage for the next film in the series. The implication is that despite the efforts to prevent it, the future of intelligent apes on Earth is now a reality. Charlton Heston was reluctant to commit to the Planet of the Apes series long term. For Beneath the Planet of the Apes, he made a deal: minimum screen time and a definitive end for his character Taylor. Yet screenwriters, perhaps in an ambitious anti-nuclear war statement, went beyond just Taylor's demise. They detonated the Alpha and Omega bomb that destroyed the entire planet, achieving a potential message, but inadvertently painting the incredibly popular franchise into a corner with no narrative path forward. This was a missed opportunity. Beneath the Planet of the Apes was brimming with captivating elements that could have sustained the series. It featured the intriguing antagonist Dr. Zaius, introduced John Brent as a new time-traveling astronaut echoing Taylor's journey, and gave us Linda Harrison's portrayal of Nova, who finally finds her voice. Crucially, the film provided a perfect narrative out through its mind-bending mutants with the power to create hallucinations. The writers could have simply attributed the cataclysmic ending to a mutant-induced illusion, allowing the story to cleverly revert to the world which George Taylor discovered, perhaps even saving Nova and continuing the adventure with James Franciscus as the main star. Despite Beneath the Planet of the Apes' cataclysmic finale, designed to terminate the franchise, the series' unexpected popularity and lucrative potential prompted producers to devise a continuation. Their solution was an origin story. Roddy McDowall and Kim Hunter were cast as Dr. Cornelius and Dr. Zira respectively, and through a time travel plot device returned to 1970s Earth. Their lineage produced Caesar, the pivotal chimpanzee who would eventually lead the Simian Uprising. This inventive use of time travel highlights its perennial utility as a narrative problem solver within the science fiction genre. Interestingly, while time travel explained the apes' intelligence in this film, the rebooted series, beginning with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, took a different approach, attributing their intelligence to human experimentation. We'll explore that compelling origin in much more detail when we dedicate an entire episode to Rise of the Planet of the Apes. The original writers could have explored a pandemic or virus that simultaneously enhanced ape intelligence and rendered humans mute. This concept wasn't uncommon in the 1970s. For instance, Charlton Heston's post-Planet of the Apes film, The Omega Man, features biological warfare as the cause of humanity's near extinction. This wouldn't even require a weaponized agent. A naturally mutated disease or one of extraterrestrial origin, perhaps a virus brought back by astronauts from the Moon or Mars, could have served the same purpose. The writers might have depicted Caesar's intelligence as a direct product of human tutelage. Imagine a scenario where a scientist at an American university teaches a chimpanzee to speak. This initial breakthrough then spreads, with that chimpanzee teaching other chimps, bonobos, orangutans, and gorillas, and eventually leading to an ape uprising. Ape intelligence could also arise naturally. Apes, common in zoos worldwide, might eventually learn to speak by simply observing their human caregivers' communication. This isn't far-fetched. For instance, as Aaliyah, a chimpanzee at a North Korean zoo, has learned to smoke cigarettes. She even lights them herself using a common lighter. Such observational learning could plausibly lead to apes adopting human language and eventually sparking an uprising. Instead, the writers opted for a different scientific explanation: a time travel loop creating a bootstrap paradox. The bootstrap paradox is a plot device where an object or a person sent back in time becomes the cause of its own existence, creating a causal loop. In the original Planet of the Apes series, the pregnant Dr. Zira and her baby are the key elements to this paradox. Without their journey back in time, the events of the series could not unfold. This is just one of many time travel paradoxes explored in science fiction. Many believe Back to the Future features a bootstrap paradox, but that's a common misconception. Doc Brown conceived the flux capacitor, the film's central MacGuffin, independently in 1955, inspired by an incident while hanging a clock. Marty McFly's time travel had no influence on its invention. Back to the Future actually illustrates a different time travel paradox, known as the grandfather paradox. This occurs when a time traveler disrupts a past event essential to their own existence. In the film, Marty interrupts his parents' first meeting, which jeopardizes his and his siblings' very existence. If the movie had ended with Marty disappearing, he wouldn't have been born, thus preventing him from ever traveling back in time to cause the disruption. The paradox is ultimately resolved when George McFly successfully kisses Lorraine Baines on the dance floor, leading to them falling in love. The paradox gets its name from the classic theatrical example. If a man goes back in time and accidentally kills his own grandfather, he would never have existed to perform the act in the first place. If Marty McFly disappears because he interrupted his parents' first meeting, then he can't go back to the past and interrupt his parents' first meeting. It's a paradox. Both events can't happen. Another well-known time travel paradox is the predestination paradox. This occurs when a time traveler attempts to prevent a tragedy, only for their actions to inadvertently become the very cause of that event. A classic hypothetical example is going back in time to prevent the sinking of the Titanic, but instead causing it. The film 12 Monkeys offers an excellent cinematic illustration of this paradox. A time traveler sent back to warn humanity about an impending pandemic unknowingly carries the virus back with him, initiating the outbreak he sought to prevent. The bootstrap paradox also appears in The Terminator. It hinges on Kyle Reese traveling back in time to father John Connor, while the Terminator's pursuit leaves behind a piece of itself to be reverse engineered. This paradox works effectively in the Terminator narrative because the story consistently presents these events as an interconnected, predetermined loop. Futurama's application of the bootstrap paradox can appear somewhat unsettling without the context of the entire series. The central premise involves the main character, Philip J. Fry, traveling back in time and inadvertently becoming his own grandfather. This peculiar instance of incest forms a foundational event in the Futurama series, being referenced throughout numerous episodes. Time travel in fiction inherently creates problems and paradoxes, often challenging the concept of free will. Consider Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. Why did the crew travel back to the 20th century to retrieve humpback whales, rather than simply persuading contemporary Americans to save them? The answer, implicitly, lies in the notion of free will. The idea that people cannot be forced to act against their own choices, even if it's for their own good. In the first Planet of the Apes film, you deal with the issues caused by time travel to the future. Beings from the past would have difficulty adjusting to the present whenever it happens to be. Just like Taylor had trouble adjusting to a future Earth, imagine George McFly traveling to our time. This fictional science fiction writer probably could not imagine a cell phone, or basically a computer small enough to fit in someone's pocket. Time travel to the past creates difficult problems such as paradoxes. like predestination and causality. It also creates issues for the character. These issues may make for good fiction. Thankfully, it'll probably never be a reality. The Bootstrap paradox in the Planet of the Apes series feels like it's shoehorned in. I believe this series would have been stronger if they had skipped this movie entirely and proceeded directly to conquest of the Planet of the Apes. This approach would have maintained the compelling mystery surrounding Caesar's origins, leaving Cornelius and Zira out of his backstory. Sometimes, unanswered questions can significantly enhance a film. Here are a few examples. It is perfectly acceptable that we never learn E.T.'s initial purpose on Earth. The narrative suggests he was a stranded botanist, but the precise nature of his mission, whether a simple study of Earth's flora or a more urgent effort to preserve endangered plant species, is left to our imagination. Consider another example, the old man from A Christmas Story. We're never explicitly told his profession, only that he wore a suit to work, drove an Oldsmobile, and could afford a bountiful Christmas for his family. These details imply a well-paying white-collar job, and frankly, we don't need to know more. The story, after all, is centered on Ralphie. In Casablanca, the details of how Ilsa and Laszlo got together are irrelevant. The film's core lies in the enduring affection between Ilsa and Rick Blaine, particularly their past in Paris. This lingering connection drives the narrative and provides a compelling reason for Blaine to ultimately help Laszlo and Ilsa escape, ensuring Ilsa's safety alongside her husband. Their specific dynamic, beyond this core relationship, is not central to the plot. While I maintain that Caesar's origin story could have remained a mystery, Escape from the Planet of the Apes is nonetheless a good film. It poses intriguing questions and aligns perfectly with this series' original themes, a cinematic warning against the evils of war and racism. The film brings these themes to the forefront, resonating with audiences in the late 1960s and early 1970s. For instance, Cornelius and Zira's interrogation powerfully evokes the McCarthy hearings and would foreshadow Watergate. Among the 5 original Planet of the Apes movies, this one delivers the most disturbing twist ending due to its deeply personal nature. Though predictable, the final shot of a young Caesar in a cage in Armando's circus uttering "Mama" remains chilling, no matter how many times you have seen it. What are your thoughts on Escape from the Planet of the Apes and its place within the series? Share your comments below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. In our next video, we'll delve deeply into the requested conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Following that, we'll take a break from the Apes saga to discuss 3 Steven Spielberg classics: Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Jaws, and Jurassic Park. We look forward to seeing you then.
Horses